Okay, so I'm going to continue on the harness demo because my the video was too big, so I had to shorten it. So basically, I was at the workflow, right? So now I can create a workflow, and you can see if it is success. So every time what you have to do is have a workflow, and that workflow flow gets triggered. So there's one more thing. Okay, so pipeline. So creating a pipeline so that deployment happens right from dev to production, including approvals, is one of the great features of harness. So what you can do is, right, so you can create it. Let's create a new pipeline, right? So let me see, you want to add a new pipeline, right? Test pipeline. And in this pipeline, I can create to add any stage. So what that means is, like, when what is your pipeline? So your pipeline, what you want to do is start with let's say Q dev environment. Then you want the automatically to have the code deploying into QA and then stage, and after stage you want some approvals, and after the approvals you get into prod. So before the deployments, it is important that we have all the environments. So if you can go in, so I created some environments, like I created QA, just simple, prod and stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pipeline that takes my code from dev, and it moves to QA and moves to prod. And in the case of workflows, so I have Nginx deploy. So I will create more workflow because Nginx deploy is for dev. So then I want to create a workflow for Nginx, let's say QA. So again, rolling deployment, and I want to pick QA here, and my service will be Nginx new, and my infrastructure is QA infrastructure, and I submit it. Similarly, I will create one more workflow for staging. So let me go back to workflow. Let me create one more workflow. Now this one I'm going to call Nginx stage, and that will be my, again, rolling. So you can see there are option also for canary. This, if you know that, you can even do that. And this one I want to put it in stage, and I want to have this new service, and I want to have the staging. So if you this infrastructure should exist. I already created it, but basically it's the environment. That's what it is. So now, and then I will create one more for production. So let me create a workflow for prod. My service will be Nginx and prod infra, and I submit. So I have the all the environments, and I have the workflow. Now when I start to deploy, okay, now let me go back to the pipelines. So if I want to create a pipeline, test, okay, it's already there. Sorry, it's already there. So let me go back to that pipeline, this pipeline, right? Now I can add a pipeline. So what I want is, now which one I want to start with, dev. So which was my Nginx deploy pipeline, and I want to start with this one. That's the first step. Okay, right. Then I can add the next one, which is QA. I want my QA pipeline, and after QA I want stage. So Nginx stage, submit. But after stage, what I want to do is I want some approval. So I'm going to go to the approval, and you can pick Jira, ServiceNow, whatever works. But then I'm going to choose harness, and these are my groups. These are a lot of user groups. So I'm just going to use mine, this is a free setup. Timeout, and in the advanced setting, I don't want to skip anything, and I can add some variables. So this is my approval step. And once the approval happens, after the approval, I want it to deploy to production. Nginx prod, that's it. So that's it, right? Once we set this up, and then once we start the deployment, so let's do the deploy. And this is so I want to deploy my test pipeline, and I want to just pick the stable tags from everywhere. stable, right? That's it. And send notification to me only. So I will show you when this is completed. So my deployment in the Nginx is for some reason is failing, and I will have to go and check. But basically, that's it. That's how it shows that after one or the other, this should become green, and once it passes every stage, it will become green. So my deployment, let me see. So it is failing for the rolling update. Um, Let me see. Yeah, so I'm going to take a look at it. It probably is some error which is local to the environment. Yeah, the manifest file is looking for secret. I think there is a bug or they have an issue because my application was a simple Nginx. It doesn't need any harness, example, secret or anything. So it's probably something in the in the app in the manifest that's looking for it. But yeah, so basically that's and so my others this might also fail because it's all going from there. But this was to give you an idea that how a pipeline can also be created, and one of the benefits of using harnesses. So other than that, once like after the pipeline, there's something called as a trigger. So what a trigger is, if you go to my if I go here, right? So this is my trigger. So right now I don't have any trigger, but basically a trigger can be used to trigger a pipeline. So you can set certain conditions, like once a code is checked in, then you can create a trigger. So we can just have a dev trigger, or we can just trigger a pipeline, right? We can trigger a pipeline, and then there will be a condition, right? So what you want to trigger when there's a new code gets checked in, in my library, and then pick whatever tag, and then finally what action is supposed to be done. Do you trigger the workflow, which means the deployment happens in dev, or you just trigger the pipeline, right? Which means if I want to trigger my test pipeline. So this is also very useful. Everything can be automated once you set it up. Everything can be automated, and it's just off hands. Nobody has to go in and manually do anything.